Welcome to the 4 Cornerstones to Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I've identified 4 cornerstones in Robert Kiyosaki that helped him to write over 16 books, build companies, come back from a couple of failures, and acquire wealth. I'm delving into what makes Robert, aka Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Some are wondering how much I agree with Robert's ideas on how to be rich. I'll say it this way. For every one of Robert's ideas, there's an opposite idea by an equally successful person. So you need to decide what just simply will work best for you. However, these 4 cornerstones are not about how to get rich. Instead, these 4 cornerstones can help you achieve anything, which goes far beyond rich. So, cornerstone number 1 is you need a mentor. Cornerstone number 2, you must play the game of Monopoly. And now, cornerstone number 3, you need resilience. Well, what exactly is resilience? Resilience is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. It's toughness. Think of it this way. The ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape. Elasticity. Take this piece of paper, right? I crumple it up and it's still crumpled. It doesn't do a very good job springing back into shape, okay? Take this water bottle. It springs back. There it is. That's resilience. I've never heard Robert use the word resilience, but I want you to watch this video clip. And as he tells his story and describes entrepreneurs, you're going to see resilience all over the place, in him and in true entrepreneurs.
You know, my last paycheck, I still remember it clearly. It was one of the worst and the best days of my life. And I was in Puerto Rico. I was working for Xerox. And my boss gave me my last, it wasn't a paycheck, it was a bonus check. I think it was about 30,000 bucks. Taxable, it's the only problem with that. So I got this check and I went, holy mackerel. You know what I mean? So I was excited, but I was also disturbed. And so this other guy comes up to me, his name was John. And John says to me, he says, you're gonna be back. I said, why? He says, because you're gonna fail. I looked at him and said, look, few expletive words. Because that's what he did. He left Xerox, failed, and he came back. And I said, look, you failed and you came back, but I'm gonna fail and I'm never coming back. And that's the attitude. Do you know what I mean? If you say, well, if I fail, I'll go back to mommy and daddy, then that's what you'll do. So if you fail, that's when I became an entrepreneur because I had no money. I had no money for years. You know, I didn't have a paycheck. But that's what my rich dad encouraged me to do. He says, when you don't have this paycheck, you get hungrier, smarter, and it's a test of your character. Will you become a crook? Will you become dishonest? Will you cheat and steal? Or will you become a better human being? So really, that's the benefit of becoming an entrepreneur, is you really find out who you are when you don't have anything. So the real entrepreneur has an internal focus, that if they fall down, they say, oh, this is good, because I'm gonna go up higher. You know, the average person will fall down and say, oh, I'm going to take some Prozac. Or somebody has a mistake, so, oh, the mistakes don't matter. Well, mistakes matter. It means you didn't know something. But a real entrepreneur, whether they fall down, they always can go up. They can stand back up and go higher. That no matter what happens to them, they get stronger and better and smarter and happier.
Can't you feel the resilience? Especially when Robert says, but a real entrepreneur, well, when they fall down or they always go on. They can stand back up and go higher, no matter what happens to them. Wow. No matter what happens to them. I was just talking to an entrepreneur friend of mine about his new company venture. He's several years into it. And he said, you know, it always looks good on paper, and then when you start to implement, all kinds of stuff happens. And he's not talking about good stuff, all right? In his case, he initially hired an IT company to develop the software that would power his business. And after missing the deadline by 5 months, this IT company reported back to him that the software had passed all 5 tests they gave him, and it was good to go. So my friend and his team, they took this software, they ran it through all the tests, and guess what? No surprise, it failed every single one of them. What do you do? What do you do at that point? Now they are months and months and months and months behind schedule. And their funding's drying up. I mean, the money's running out. What do you do? All that happened a year or two ago. Well, today, there are countless stories since March of companies facing all kinds of challenges and setbacks due to this pandemic economic shutdown. For example, Ryan Chora's company, Chora Events, builds tents, staging, and facilities. But not just for anybody. His clients are South by Southwest, the BNP Paribas Open Tournament, and the Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival. All suddenly shut down. Ryan described being devastated and never crying more than over the 2-week period when Coachella canceled. You need resilience in these moments. Only the resilient make it through these kinds of setbacks and challenges. And boy, can I relate. I've had numerous setbacks over 25 plus years. Moments when it looked like all hope was lost. And I know you've had something similar. Look, we know these kinds of setbacks have been going on long before there was a pandemic. And look, in all honesty, setbacks are going to continue for as long as there's humanity, all right? Whether there's a pandemic or not, okay? So, bottom line, we got to have resilience. And where do we go for it? How do you get resilient? Well, Robert gives us a good clue, our character. In other words, these setbacks, our mistakes, failures, test our character. And how we respond in these moments either builds resilience or weakens our resilience. It all begins with our internal attitude. Are you going to bounce back or fold like my piece of paper? So let's figure out where you are. I want you to think back to setbacks and challenges in your life. And in that moment, listen to these words and pick the ones that describe you the best. In the moment, you would describe yourself as flexible, strong, tough, supple, hardy, resistant, persevering, durable, tenacious, vigorous, self-sufficient, brave. And listen to these words and select the ones that describe you in the moments that you remember of setbacks and challenges. You were rigid, pessimistic, frail, incompliant, obstinate, glum, weak, inflexible, frail, negative, powerless, stiff, stubborn. What'd you come up with? Well, if you're like me, you probably had some words from both lists, which I've listed all those words below so that you can review. Well, it's kind of obvious. The first set describes resilient, and the second set, well, they describe this crumpled piece of paper. So what do? Simple. We cultivate all the qualities on the first list, and we unlearn everything on the second list. We begin what I'm calling resilience training. Here's the key to Cornerstone number 3. Resilience unleashes creativity. So what happened to my entrepreneur friend who lost months and months due to the bad IT company? He responded with suppleness and creativity. He persevered, hired his own team of developers, and launched his company. And today, he's stronger than before with an even better, more powerful software engine than he could have ever gotten from the IT company. That's resilience. What about Ryan Chora? Well, he pulled himself together, and his resilience spotted an opportunity that only he and his company could do. They started setting up heavy-duty triage tents and overflow facilities for first responders to the pandemic. Ryan said, "We pivoted so fast to being a rapid response disaster relief team. If I didn't know how to do Coachella, I couldn't do this hospital." That's the picture you see him in. So for Ryan, candidly, demand will spike for him, and he may face more challenges if the shutdown drags on. But this at least buys him time to come up with more opportunities and live for another day. And more importantly, his response builds his resilience attitude and muscle, or what Robert referred to as character. You see, resilient entrepreneurs, and for that matter, any resilient people, don't have time to be negative, inflexible, powerless. They do what they always do. They bounce back. Boom. So right now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to focus on a current setback or challenge you are facing, either in business or in life. Either one will work. Or remember a very recent one. Now close your eyes and simply, internally decide, I'm going to be resilient. I'm going to bounce back into shape just like the water bottle. Decide to be flexible, strong, tough. Decide to be supple, hardy, resistant, persevering, durable. Decide to be tenacious, vigorous, self-sufficient. Decide to be brave. And decide to reject all negativity, powerlessness, and inflexibility, and anything else. Now, open your eyes. And with your fresh, new, resilient attitude, I'd like you to do 3 things. First, I'd like you to create. Create your response. Just mentally begin to think about ideas. Begin to brainstorm a list. Now write down all the ways you could respond to overcome, work around, or defeat your setback or challenge. Take that list, however long it is, and select the top 5 or 10 best ideas. And you might combine a few, and that's okay too. Because what I'd like you to do is rewrite the top 5, no more than 10, top actions you could take to defeat the setback, work around it, overcome it, and start doing it. Okay? Is this a magic formula? Is this some silver bullet? No, absolutely not. It's no different than repeating bench press to build up your muscles, or curls, or whatever, leg presses. This, if you repeat this like any exercise, you're going to start to build and strengthen your resilience and creativity in the midst of setback. You may need to do it every morning. That's okay. Just a kind of a morning exercise. Look, I've been guiding people a long time, especially entrepreneurs. In fact, I specialize with folks who are struggling, facing setbacks, or simply have run out of answers. This stuff works, okay? If you'd like to kick around a few ideas, receive a little resilience guidance, let's chat for free. Just click the link below and set up a free call with me. Do it today. Don't wait. But regardless, whatever you do, I want you to decide to be resilient and take action. I'd love to hear what happens. Leave comments below. What's going well, what you got questions about. And please subscribe. Ring the bell so you don't miss the next video, Cornerstone number 4. And in the meantime, I want you to live truly free.